Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
It certainly is. Here I am, and there you are, and I'm glad you're there. We've got Milan Yerkovich and Becky Brown here with all of us, and thank you guys for being here. Becky, Milan.
Well, thanks for inviting us, Steve.
Our privilege. Totally.
All right, I want to start right up front by reminding everybody that we have this matching gift, and I'm so grateful for the people that came together and said, here's $700,000, and we want you to make it more than that. We want it to be matched before you access it. Thank you. So we need you to support us. I'll send you the 100 Days to Freedom from Anger as a way of saying thank you. But people need help, and if you support us, they get that help. It's just like that. And, you know, we did a workshop on emotional freedom a couple of weeks ago, and a woman said, last night, I just wanted to die. I was in such despair, and I have new hope, and it's going to be different. And that's what we love, absolutely love to hear.
And I always think, Steve, there's so many people in our audience, so many of you who are listening who think, yeah, I need to give to New Life. Well, now's your chance, because every dollar you give will be doubled. And so I just want to encourage you, if you've even thought about giving, today's the day. Call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and give $1 or $2 or $3, $4.
If you go to our website, you can find out how to give. You can also find out all the workshops that we do, and you can find out about the Lumina Project, which is a partnership with Museum of the Bible that is, we hope and pray, we believe, is the beginning of a truth movement in this country that makes all the difference in the world. And all you have to do is call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. You can find out all about that. All right, let's go to the phones and let's talk with Kimberly from San Francisco, California. Hello there. How are you today? What's going on?
Hi, Steve. I'm pretty devastated today. I'll start with my question. Do I stay or do I leave a marriage to an unbeliever that refuses to stop porn? He says he will use it as he sees fit, and I'm just trying to control him with my opposition to his porn use.
Oh, wow. That is so sad. I am so sorry.
It's interesting that he's making this a faith issue when the statistics are out there that porn is not good for anyone. And I don't know if there's other issues that you guys are dealing with, Kimberly, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I don't know. Have you sought counseling for this, or what kind of conversations have you guys had over this subject?
We've sought counseling for it in the past. He refuses to see anyone that's not secular. So a number of years ago, when I was pregnant with our third child, this came up, and the therapist suggested I partake in it with him, which I was not okay with. More recently, we've been separated now for about 2 months, and this was one of the issues that was coming up for us in our marriage. But now that we're separated, he's into pornography even more. And his caveat is, well, if you don't want me to look at porn, either have sex with me or send me naked pictures of yourself. And he's into some pretty hardcore stuff that is really difficult for me. And I just don't know if it's time to just throw in the towel and just be done with this man, that he's never going to give it up.
All right. We'll talk right after this.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 15th through the 17th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back talking with Kimberly. A very, very tragic, sad situation. And Milan, you have some thoughts here and questions, and then we'll go to Becky after that.
Hey, Kimberly, when you got married to your husband, was he an unbeliever then, and were you a believer at that time?
He was an unbeliever. I was raised in a believing family, but our faith wasn't really something that was at the forefront of our lives. So I wasn't exactly strong in my faith at that time. Mm-hmm. And as I've gotten older, it's become more important to me.
Sure.
Okay. It's something that he...
Well, and then just really quickly, how old are your three children?
Our children are 16, 13, and 8.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you something I would tell excuse me, anybody who is married to an individual who has a severe addiction. The only thing you can do is give them an ultimatum. And I don't know if throwing in the towel is the correct metaphor for you to use. I would use a different metaphor. But the ultimatum would be simply, I am going to file for a legal separation because, excuse me again, I don't know how much money you're spending on this addiction or how much it is affecting your ability to make and have an income. But I am going to file a legal separation until the time comes that you choose to say no to this addiction and begin to do some work to get through it and over it. And then I can know we have a relationship where you will then be able to love me and not see me through the eyes of pornography, because that's what I want. And our children desperately need a dad who is present and not with his mind filled in adulterous and, pornographic thoughts. Do you have any daughters in the mix?
We have 2.
Okay, how old are they?
They're, it's our oldest and our youngest.
Okay.
So 16 and 8.
I'd be very concerned to have a husband deeply involved in pornography and have a 16-year-old floating around. It is just not a good combo. And I'll just say that. I know and have talked to many women in my office where when a daughter all of a sudden goes through puberty and starts to look like a young woman, the husbands can be highly sexualized toward them, speak to them in a highly sexualized manner, and it's not a good formula. So I'm suggesting an ultimatum with a legal separation as to a divorce. Now, a separation says, I want you to come back, but here's my requirement of what I need for you to do before you are welcome back.
I think that's really important.
That's what we did when he left, and he's not willing to stop. He says that he doesn't have an addiction. It's not a problem. It's something that he uses when he needs sexual relief, and if he's not getting it from me, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah,
but
and then
if
how
all
often?
men do it.
Yeah, that's not true. All men don't do that. And number two, so then how often does he need a sexual release? I've known men that said, "Well, I need that 3 times a day." And
He
so
says right now during the separation it's daily because he's living alone, but as long as he's getting what he wants at home, he says it won't be that often.
Yeah. So Becky, what would you say?
Well, we understand addiction is meeting a need. And addictions come in all shapes and sizes, and this just happens to be the one that has attached itself to him. And the more that he does this, the more damage he's doing. Just like drugs, alcohol. There's what we know about addiction is that it's meeting a need. So there's something underneath this use. And I would say in his reaction to you about I just need you. We talk about this at Restore. We talk about it's not really. In intimacy that he needs, it's intensity. And the more that he uses the porn, the more, he needs to use the porn. Along with what you said, Milan, I think the idea of seeing a secular counselor with some parameters where you can use your voice, I would get him into counseling in any way, shape, or form. As far as, he's going to need help with this addiction. And if the counselor does suggest something like that, then obviously you move on to the next one. I think many times we forego help because we're looking for just the right one, and there's no problem in wanting the best, but he's stuck and he doesn't even see it. And I'm concerned for your kids, also for the reasons that Milan mentioned, but also divorce at this age can be devastating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one last thing. I would want for you, Kimberly, to have a group of women around you to help you in this process, and wouldn't want you to do this on your own, whether it is continuing the separation, ultimately divorcing, but just that process of understanding how this is affecting you can be just so helpful in the long run.
Okay. Boy, I tell you, this is tough. I wish, I hope, I pray that you have people that will continue to give you good counsel and wisdom. Restore, great place. You can go once, twice, 3 times. There are groups for folks who are attached to somebody that just simply doesn't see reality at all, and they're addicted. And they're full of lust. And sex is an act. It's not something that they see as an intimacy or a manifestation of intimacy. So it's a bad place to be. And I'm so sorry that you're there with him. And you might want to call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and just see if some of our folks there have some suggestions for you and what might be the next step. They certainly can connect you with a really great counselor. So sorry for this, and I would not feel bad one bit for establishing a boundary for you and your daughter. I mean, it's important that you stick to where the path that you're on there.
Milan,
did you have something else you want? Oh, Becky, you have something else to say. Okay.
Well, Milan might too, but I was just thinking, think about the aftermath of this. So, Kimberly, if you go ahead with the divorce, his story is, yes, I liked porn more than I liked my family. I mean, there's no way around that. And so you are justified if he's resistant to connecting with you in a healthy way and getting rid of the porn. So I think that's important for you to hear. But he's got an issue that he can't even see right now, and that's what addiction does to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and the last thing I was going to say was, if he does come home, does Kimberly want to have a sexual relationship with a man who has completely altered his thinking as to what sexuality is? And he's just, at that point, Kimberly becomes a sexual object. She's not a person with a mind, a will, and emotions, and to lovingly care for and nurture. It's all about her being an objectified sexual object, like you said, Steve.
Well, I've had people say to me, the Bible says, do not withhold yourself from the other person, and they say that's all it says. Well, the Bible also says, children, obey your parents. But we know that there are sick parents that would ask a child to do something that they should not obey. If a parent asks a child, a 17-year-old child still living at home, to do something immoral, no one would say, well, you need to go ahead and do it anyway. And no, we don't want people withholding sex, but there are situations that aren't listed there where it would be inappropriate for you to have sex. I'll give you one. If a person is out there having sex with prostitutes and other people, you must not have sex with that person. You must withhold sex because you don't know what kind of disease that might be transmitted to you. So it's complicated, more complicated than you could ever imagine. But the point is, there are certain situations that really do call for somebody to do something that the Scripture says don't do, but the Scripture doesn't look at or address every situation. Does that make sense, or does it feel like I'm going against that Scripture?
No,
Milan?
it makes well,
Becky, Milan,
I was thinking about the Scripture that says if you even look with lust, you have sinned against. And I think, this is what we're talking about. So there's support biblically for what she's thinking of doing.
Milan, do you think that is being true to the verse?
I think you're absolutely right. When do we have to say, I will serve the Lord as opposed to mankind? Yeah. So to your point about, a parent asking a 17-year-old to do something, or a husband asking his wife, who might be a Christian, to do something immoral, we are to say we're not to be conformed to the world. We're not to allow the world to conform us to what it wants and what others who represent the world are wanting from us. So it is important to say no at those times. So what I'm saying is a separation is a warm boundary that says, I want you to come back. Notice it's not a divorce, husband. It is a separation that is protecting me financially and legally, because I don't know what you're getting into out there. And I don't believe you, actually, because you could be doing a lot of other things besides pornography.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'll send you a transformation Bible. I hope that will help you in your journey. I wish we could help you more. And I will also send you Understanding and Loving a Person with a Sexual Addiction. Hope that could be helpful to you also. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need help, if you need a counselor, we want to provide that for you. Right now, let's go to Cindy from Weatherford, Texas, listening to KWRD. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Steve?
Pretty good. Not many complaints. How could we help?
Good. Well, I'm wondering what direction I should take with a grown child who suffers from mental health disorders and is putting herself in harm, and my grandchildren, but also during her waves of manic behavior or outrageous behavior, she tends to swoop all the family in on the drama.
Yeah.
And then cuts them back out. And she's had a really bad manic episode this month and done a lot of really serious, crazy things. But yet we can't get help. So it's like, I've even called, MHMR, some of those places. So what does someone do when you have an adult that you can't really commit them, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that you're worried about the children in the home.
Right. It's tough. Becky, what are you thinking?
I was just wondering what specific things that were dangerous as we go to the break. Cindy, is she diagnosed with bipolar disorder? You mentioned manic.
She's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She's been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. She had a gunfight with her boyfriend that's living with her, although she's married. Her husband's in jail. He went to jail for assaulting her and bonded out. Now she wants to move him back in, but he can't claim property. But she doesn't.
All right.
That gives us a good picture.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take a break. We'll come right back for more of New Life Live. We have something that you could use. We have something that you need. You call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn. We're talking with Cindy, and her adult 38-year-old daughter is a problem. And I'm going to send you a book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children by Jim Burns. I hope that will be helpful to you. But Cindy, okay. I'm wondering, what would be the chances of and the impact it would have if you asked your daughter to go on a retreat with you, or just maybe call it that, a trip with you, find a place you guys could drive to and spend a couple of days and just to connect with her and ask about her life and all that, and let her know you love and care about her, and then, be able to have some kind of credibility in guiding her or helping her see things that she obviously doesn't see or isn't willing to address. Is there any chance that something like that could happen?
Well, Steve, I want to add 2 quick words, not explanations, but the words should be enough. She has a drug addiction problem on and off. Currently, she is using methamphetamines, and she has a very narcissistic behavior. I am her primary target.
Okay.
So she loves to hate me. I'm not the one who could possibly persuade her to do anything,
okay.
Honestly.
Well, how about this? are there financial resources available to pay for her to get treatment?
Probably not. I mean, I don't even know what treatment to start with.
Well, it would be the treatment for methamphetamine addiction. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I know some
wonderful
wonderful
and I'll tell
people.
You, when the day she set the trucks on fire was her cry for help.
Yeah.
Again, she had not spoken. She had cut me off for 2 years.
Okay.
But I'm always a person she goes back to very quickly. And she said, I've been this way all my life. I don't know why I do this.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't. So a side of her wants help, but then very quickly that other side then comes right back out. And
okay. So here's what I would do.
So I don't know.
Okay, I would find out. I would find out what are the treatment resources in the area that can be afforded, and if you can help her financially, then you have the right to say, you always come back after one of these episodes, like the last time, and I want you to know I want to help you, and this is a treatment resource. I'm going to help you financially with it, because I believe until that addiction is taken care of, there is really nothing healthy is going to happen with the other things that are going on in your life. The addiction to methamphetamines, makes all the rest of the problems being so severe and bizarre, they make sense now. And that's the thing that needs to be addressed first. And so try to help her find resources and help her financially to get that kind of treatment. And maybe, just maybe, she'll take it. Every time a person has another episode, it usually gets them a little closer to wanting help. A lot of people have gotten help, and they've gotten better. And I would hope and pray that for you. Becky, Milan, anything else we want to offer here?
Well, go ahead, Milan.
No, I don't mind if you go first.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify. You mentioned, Cindy, that you had called some outside resources, and I was wondering if one of those was Child Protective Services.
Absolutely, Becky. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Child Protective Services have been to her house a number of times.
Okay. And
Child Protective Services, and when they get there, again, my daughter has, one of her conditions is bipolar disorder. So she's very manic. Her house is immaculate. All the stuff is straightened up. So when they look at removing children in an environment and putting them maybe in foster care, now she says she had not started doing drugs again until, well, she hadn't done any since November, but here in the last month, I know she started again. So it's like at the times they go out there, everything's okay. Do you understand?
Oh, sure.
I mean,
the thing
is that like 2 weeks ago, my grandson was shot at twice, and CPS never showed up at the house. They don't provide. I don't know. I'm just
okay. So Cindy, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's the challenge. They're overworked. They have so many things that they have to deal with. Okay, so what you're going to have to do, and I don't know how old your grandkids are, but you need to resource them with a place to go. Gunfire and fires and meth use are all. It doesn't matter how clean the house is.
Right.
This is not a place to raise children.
It doesn't to me. But my daughter, if we talked about taking the grandchildren, she actually signed something to give custody of her children temporarily when she went to jail on the fire burning to a man she'd known 4 days, rather than a family member. So my fear if I go in and try to remove the kids is that we'll lose them. And maybe I need to get rid of that fear, and whatever happens, get them out.
Okay, so we have a commercial we have to go to right now, Cindy, and then when we come back, we have some thoughts to share about that. So hold on, please.
Might not be the worst thing going to someone else. We'll be back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. July 22nd to the 24th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Milan, you had some things you wanted to say as we finish up with Cindy.
Well, Cindy, it's really important because Becky is right. You know, Child Protective Services are overworked and underpaid people, and they're doing their very best. Right. Secondly, they can be duped by somebody. I've known some borderlines that could flip a switch and look like they're the most incredibly sane person in the whole world and reasonable.
That's her.
I know. I've seen it. And so I totally get it. So what I'm going to suggest, and listen, Cindy, I also want to encourage you. This is super sad. You're giggling a lot during this call, and I really want you to just, we're okay with the grief this must bring to your heart. And I really want you to know this is so painful, Cindy. Now, last thing I want to say is you need to find a lawyer. You need to be able to go to court.
Okay.
Perhaps create some sort of a restraining order or do something for the protection of those kids. Their adverse childhood experience score, their ACE score, is very high, and they're going to be very wounded by that unless they're brought out. They have to live with this person that is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it is a horrible place for a child to grow up. And so I would consult a lawyer. Becky, what would you add to that?
Well, I wanted to go back to the whole idea of, if they have to go to a foster home, it will be a wake-up call for her. Mm-hmm. And even though I know she was ready to sign them over to a stranger, you need to keep a timeline so that when you're talking to an authority, whether it's a lawyer or a CPS, they have an understanding of the whole picture, as opposed to what they hear sometimes where people are trying to manipulate the system. And what we want for these kids is protection. Mm-hmm. And we want them to know Grandma is on your side, and call me if you need anything, and we're going to get you help.
Right. All right. I'm going to send you
I was totally cut off for 2 years, and now I'm back, and I just don't want to keep doing that to them.
No. And I hope that you'll take Milan's advice and hear some of the insights from Becky. I'll send you Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcohol or Drug Addiction. I think it will be helpful. And I also am just going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and hope sometime you're going to be able, it'll be appropriate to give that to her. That's what I'm hoping for.
You know, Steve, what happens so many times is you've got the identified patient, so to speak, which would be the daughter in this case, but we're missing the forest for the trees. We're missing the kids who are being impacted by this.
That's
and
right.
A 38-year-old you don't have any control over, but
Right.
you certainly can protect children, and that's where I want Cindy's focus to be.
That's right. And she might even be cut off from the daughter, but that shouldn't affect her ability to be in contact with CPS and a lawyer and some sort of advocacy for those kids.
Right.
Absolutely.
The goal is not to stay connected to the daughter. The goal, as you said, Becky, and it was so good, is to protect the kids.
Right.
Speaking of protection, Larry Sonnenberg is in the studio. He protects us all in various ways. Larry, what do you have for us today?
Well, Steve, just a quick reminder, you talked about it at the top of the program, the matching gift that we've got going. The first week, last week of that gift, we received almost 81,700 to match. And this program, I don't have a report because it's being recorded on Monday, and next Monday we'll have a report on this week. But I know we're going to need your continued support, and I want to thank everybody who gave to make the match possible, and for those of you that are matching it. So thank you, and please support that.
All right.
The second thing is just a testimony. Why would you want to give to this ministry? Well, here's just one testimony from a gal named Susan. I've been listening to New Life for many years. I've attended 2 workshops and have gone on 2 trips with y'all. I think I've read almost every book you've published, especially while I was in my previous marriage and struggling with trying to improve that marriage and myself. My therapist told me I was the best read client he ever had. I really wish I could put into words what this ministry has meant to me, but I wouldn't even know where to start. I've grown so much since being a part of New Life, and I tell others about your ministry all the time. I support you because I believe in what you do and know that all of your counsel comes from a biblical point of view, which is important to me. The workshop I went into Dallas, probably around 2007 or 8, it was amazing. I'll never forget these words my counselor said to me. Put the club down, Susan. I had been beating myself up and believing things about myself that were not true. So, folks, lives change. People see life differently. God's Spirit does a work in their hearts, their minds. They're thinking differently and better. That's why we seek your support. We want each and every one of these folks that are listening and come to us for help to experience the same thing.
Amen. And a gift of any amount, we're going to match it, and we're going to send you 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. It is a wonderful daily devotional, and it's a beautiful book, and there's great devotional material and great scripture and great quotes by some really great people. So if you're angry, this is going to be a wonderful tool, and we'll give it to you for a gift of any amount. Anything else you want to say there, Larry?
No, just thank you. Thank you for everybody who's making gifts to New Life. It's changing lives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE is the simple number to call, and I hope you will. All right, let's go to Larry, Columbus, Ohio, and he listens on Sirius XM. Hey, Larry, how are you today?
Fine, how are you?
Well, I'm doing all right. Yep. How could we help today?
Is this Steve?
It is Steve and Milan and Becky.
Steve, Milan, and Becky, hello to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
The question that I have is, I just transitioned to a new church, and the previous 2 churches that I was in, I was a counselor. You know, I counseled married couples, my wife and I, singles, and people that's going through grief. The church that I'm currently at now wants to start a counseling ministry. And I listen to you guys every day, and I can say you guys are wonderful. I have learned so much from you. and some of the books that you guys are talking about. I went online and I'm getting ready to order several books. But I need to understand, is there any way that I could get some of the coaching from you guys, or what would you recommend for me?
To start the counseling ministry in your church?
Yes.
Well, first thing would be to get you established and integrated into that staff as a strong team member. That would be the first thing. And the second thing would be to be sure that everybody on that staff knows that you're just a phone call or a text away if they come in contact with anybody that could benefit from your counseling. And then the next thing would be to be sure that the pastor tells people about you and introduces you right up front in the main thing, so everybody knows you're there. And then hopefully that will fill up every hour you have, and you'll be asking for people to help you, or you'll be hiring help, whatever the church can do, or you'll be training volunteers to be lay counselors.
And
Becky?
We can connect him with Terry, and you can begin a life recovery program at your church,
right,
which will be a great way to help so many people, but also establish who you are and what you're doing in the community. And it'll reach so many people. And, Columbus is a great place for that to be.
All right.
So that's wonderful. Excellent. So you said this last bullet, you said start life recovery at the church. Your life, can you give me a little bit more detail on that, please?
Well, it's a 12-step group based on the Life Recovery Bible and the other materials that go with it. We have a starter kit for how to start that in any church. And what we'll do is we'll connect you with Terry Ward, who is over that entire ministry, and she'll be a big help to you. And I'm very excited that you have a place and you have a purpose, and hope that we can help you with that plan. You are listening to New Life Live. We'll take a break. We'll come back for our final segment here. So glad you're listening. Thanks to all of you that support us. It really does make a difference, and we are grateful for you.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Indianapolis June 10th through the 12th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live. This is Terry McIntosh, and millions of Americans are living with mental illness or know someone who is. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're featuring a sale on books, CDs, and devotions to help you with topics like depression, codependency, fear and anxiety, and a whole lot more. You can visit our online store at newlife.com for resources to both help you grow personally and to better understand those struggling with their mental health.
Thank you, Terry McIntosh. Let's see. I think I've got time for one more call here, and I'm going to go to Donna from Henderson, Kentucky. There we go. Donna, you are on. How you doing there?
Hey, I'm enjoying the sunshine. It's really nice here in Kentucky.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for taking my call. I have a question. Hold on. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay, so I have been a Christian all my life. And I've even rededicated myself. But I go through spiritual warfare a lot.
And when you say
thoughts.
spiritual warfare, what do you mean? What are you specifically referring to?
Thoughts. Really, I call it spiritual because it's really bad thoughts. Really, really bad thoughts. And it's not really pertaining to people. It's pertaining to God and all of that. And I have been through counseling for it. It doesn't. It's not all the time, and sometimes it just pops up, and then I'm like humbling myself. I'm crying and asking God for forgiveness.
So you have intrusive thoughts that you are not able to get rid of easily. Is that what you're saying?
No, right. I mean, it's bad. I sometimes I can go do something and I can get my mind off of it. And sometimes it's so bad that it's just like one thought right after another, and I just holler out and I just pray, and just ask God to take it away from me. And I don't know if it seems like in the past when stuff like this happened, something was going to happen that wasn't going to be bad. It was going to be good. But it just comes and goes, and it's so draining. I read my Bible. I say Bible verses. I say, "Get behind me, Satan." I'm a child of God. Leave.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question, and I'm going to turn this over to Milan and Becky. Is there, in your past, is there either a specific trauma or were your parents, were they negative? Did they insinuate or say pretty crummy stuff around you? Tell us about that, either a trauma or... Go ahead. So
I think it all really started... I didn't have a really good childhood or any of that stuff, but I can't... that's the way I was raised and stuff. And I don't have any, I became a stronger person because of all of that. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it hadn't been for what I went through.
What is all of that? What does all of that mean?
Well, I had a dad that was an alcoholic, a non-functional alcoholic. There was my mom, basically, she had to take care of us. And so when I was younger, I started I was a bulimic. I started in bulimia, or however you can't say that. I've dealt with that all my life. I've had counseling all my life. I've been on medication before with all that. And it seemed like it got really bad in 1983. And my husband at that time, we had to move to Texas.
Yeah.
And for like 6 months, but I met I had a good job there. I met the greatest people. They were really sweet and nice and kind. And then I came home and I was okay. My job took me back because they gave me an extended leave of absence, and it started. And I do have a history, used to, when I was younger, I dealt in tarot cards. I did, fortune telling and all of that. But
before you accepted Christ.
Before
you accepted Christ, is that right?
No, I accepted Christ at 12.
Okay. Well, let me start with Milan here and get some perspective on the kind of struggle that you're going through. Milan?
Well, Donna, there's a lot of things that we're discussing here, and I'm going to be very brief. Whatever the formula or how all this came into being, and the history of having an alcoholic dad, and then the difficulties of your childhood, and there certainly is spiritual warfare that is clearly a part of our world. But what I'm hearing from you is you have obsessive thoughts and you have intrusive thoughts. They just intrude.
So what do you mean by intrusive?
Well, they just walk right into your head and just live there. Yeah. They intrude.
Sometimes it does.
They don't knock on the door and say, "May I please come in?" They just, like they're home invasion robbers. They just run right into your head, and then you obsess on them. You think about them over and over and over and over again. And so, what I'm going to suggest is there are certain medications that help slow down the obsessing, intrusive thoughts and rumination. Where we sit and just go over a thought over and over and over and over in our head. And then we go through a ritual then of guilt and prayer and confession and the whole thing just then starts all over again. We need to pray and we need to ask God for protection, but I used to be more obsessive in my thoughts. I had a lot of intrusive thoughts, and I got on the right type of a medication that helped slow all that down, and it's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. So, Becky, what would you add to that?
I think that it helps to discover the patterns. You're saying, Donna, that this doesn't happen all the time, but when it hits, it really hits hard. And I think it would be helpful with a counselor to really kind of connect the dots of when this is occurring. Mm-hmm. And then you begin to create different habits along with medication and, what you're talking about too, Milan, to disrupt the pattern. Mm-hmm. And that can be everything from, there's an old way of doing this in therapy. We call it thought stopping. And you can put a rubber band around your wrist and you snap that wrist and then you replace that thought with some other thought that will disrupt that habit, that pattern. And there's some neuroscience that connects that activity, which seems so basic and so simple, but it's going to take some repetitive, which is ironic because the thoughts can be repetitive, to disrupt repetitive habits to disrupt the process. I also would encourage you, I know we've said this 1,000 times, but I can't stress it enough. You need to be in a group in order to find those connections so that you're not doing this on your own, Donna. And it can be everything from a life recovery group or, even a anxiety recovery group.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very glad that you called. I'm going to send you a Restoration Bible. I'm hoping and praying that something we've said is helpful. A lot of times, well, first of all, I want to say this. It's all spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. Satan uses everything with everybody. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we have some spiritual symptoms that have a psychological solution to them. Many times there are psychological problems that have spiritual solutions. But I think you have to explore every avenue. Well, God bless you. Thanks for joining us. God says He'll be with you no matter what. Isaiah 43:2. Don't forget that.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.